I'm not political. This is not a political video. This video is about the insanity of billionaires begging middle-class people for money when they get into something too deep. If Warren Buffett or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos had something like this set up on their behalf, I would mock it as well. But as for today it is Donald Trump who has this set up, and so that's who I'm going to be mocking. Now, right off the bat, the framing of this GoFundMe is kind of wild. There's no kind of politics mentioned in this. It's framed as if you might be next. It is you versus a corrupt legal system that is coming after your assets. The recent legal battles he faces are not just an attack on him, but an attack on the very ideals of fairness and due process that every American deserves. It's a moment that calls into question the balance of justice and the application of law, disproportionately aimed at silencing a voice that has been at the forefront of advocating for American strength, prosperity, and security. Again, this is like fear-mongering. It's like, oh, but you could be next. This is an attack on any business owner, and maybe you're the business owner that the New York legal system is gonna go after next. The fact that a business owner did a loan with a bank, never defaulted nor missed a payment, pays back the loan with interest and causes no financial damage to anyone, yet the government overreaches and slaps a business owner with $355 million ruling should terrify all business owners and entrepreneurs. It's this appeal of, what if this happens to you? I mean, you could be next. But the part about this that confuses me is, let's say this is legitimate and it's a bogus lawsuit. This does nothing to solve that. This whole campaign where you stand with Trump and pay New York for the fine that it issued against Trump by fundraising money from so far 12,000 people does nothing to actually combat the fine that was issued. Let's say these legal charges are bogus, and at some point down the road you are also hit with bogus legal charges. I mean, then what? Do you think Elena Cardone is just gonna come out and defend you in court because you donated to this one campaign 10 years ago? The irony is that this does nothing to help business owners because the money is being raised in order to pay the fine he was issued. This isn't raising money for potential legal defenses if New York goes after you next. You, if you donate, get nothing from this. This specifically funds the $355 million judgment that was against him. Do you think the state of New York cares how it gets its money so long as it gets the $355 million fine? Funding this so that it can be paid is still a victory for New York. You're not teaching anyone a lesson or standing up for anyone by just paying the fine. Another interesting thing is, as I read through this, it talks about how it's unfair against Trump. You could be next. All business owners should be scared. There's a suggestion of constitutional violation in here, but there's no mention of how this is actually getting to Trump. In fact, the only mention of how it might get to Trump is here in Grant Cardone's tweet. My wife at Elena Cardone has started a $354 million GoFundMe account to fund the unjust judgment against @real Donald Trump, @Donald Trump Jr., @Eric Trump, and the Trump Organization. Really just desperately trying to get any amount of clout from the Trump family as he's just tagging the whole family. He's like, please just notice me, senpai. Give something and demonstrate that the people of America are standing together against unjust rulings like this, where a biased judge and corrupt legal system is out of control. Again, I have to say that the people of America are standing together against unjust rulings. You're not standing against anything by paying the fine. You'd be standing against it by funding appeals or not paying the fine to prove a point, or electing officials that will fix this allegedly corrupt system that Grant Cardone is helping expose. Any amount is welcome, and 100% of funds will be forwarded to Trump Org for his defense of this ridiculous judgment. And I don't know if I actually believe this. Nowhere can I find any kind of a guarantee or a promise or any way to verify the fact that this money will actually go to the Trump Organization. There's no mention or acknowledgement of this campaign existing from Donald Trump, his organization, or any of the members of his family that are involved with this. If you want to support the Trump Organization and have money that goes toward the fine, just donate to him directly. Look, when you go to his website, this, and I can prove it here, is the first thing that pops up where it says, "I'll never stop fighting for you. Donate today. Trying to get you to contribute." There's a big contribute and shop button here at the top. There's a contribute button here, volunteer button here, like this whole, and then there's a bunch of like merch down here you can pay for. The whole point of his website is for you to be able to give him money directly, not give someone else on the trust me bro source guarantee that they will then give it to Donald Trump. Now, there's some recent updates to this because shortly after this happened, #boycott GoFundMe started trending, and that's because people, when they saw this, believed that it was in violation of GoFundMe's terms of service. And as you can see here, a lot of people were saying that they're reporting it, like, yeah, report the fundraiser. There were some other ones up here. We've received your claim of a report. We've received your claim of a report or a GoFundMe that violates our terms of service. But then recently, GoFundMe said said that they were actually going to be leaving this up. Here he says, speaking to Newsweek, a spokesperson from the platform confirmed that the page, which was set up for the former president on Friday following Judge Arthur Engoron's ruling on Trump will have to pay $355 million in penalty for fraud, was, quote, within its terms of service, unquote, despite people voicing their concerns about it on social media. So I actually checked the terms of service because I'm not one to just take people at their word, and it does actually seem like maybe GoFundMe is in the wrong here. Without limiting the foregoing, you agree to represent, warrant, and covenant not to use the service to raise funds or establish or contribute to any fundraiser with the implicit or explicit purpose of promoting or involving, quote, the violation of any law, regulation, industry requirement, or third-party guidelines or agreements by which you are bound, including those of payment card providers and transactors, processors that you utilize in connection with the services. So that's the first one. In violation of any law, regulation, which a lot of people are saying, well, he violated a law, he was convicted for fraud, ergo this should not be allowed. And the other one, it says that you're not allowed to use this, quote, in the legal defense of alleged financial and violent crime, which if you go back to the GoFundMe itself, she kind of says that it is. She says this is more than a legal fund. It's a call to business and owners and entrepreneurs to rally, blah, 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 blah. But she says this is more than a legal fund, suggesting that it is also a legal fund, which right here is not allowed because it's a legal defense of alleged financial crimes. So I'm not actually sure why GoFundMe is allowing this to stay up. It could be because the GoFundMe executives are supportive of Trump. It could be because it's a huge marketing opportunity for more people to hear about GoFundMe. It could be because it's such a huge potential campaign. It could be a massive payday, and GoFundMe is a for-profit company, so they want the money. There could be a lot of reasons why this is being allowed. One more thing that I have to point out, which is totally unrelated to this, but I found really funny. Grant Cardone in this tweet says, I'm a real estate investor and businessman. I'm only political when politics affect my real estate investments and business, referring to this where he's talking about the judgment. And he's basically saying here, like, I'm never political unless there's something huge happening that I absolutely have to talk about. Except this is not true. Grant Cardone is political all the time. Let's just scroll through his timeline here. So here he says he's not political in referencing the fact that he is political. Here he's saying this is his GoFundMe account for the Stand With Trump Unjust Judgment. So that's a political. This one is research from real estate in New York is believing time to go on the market. He's talking about the one judge that's killing New York real estate, which is a political statement because New York leans Democratic. That one's not political, but this one, he's tweeting about politics and the Arizona Senate race in a new poll and someone dropping out. That is also a political statement. Then he talks about New York rewarding illegal immigrants with credit cards, which is, I believe, actually was debunked, and that's not true, but that is also political. And he even puts hashtag Trump, which is hilarious. Then he's saying that businesses fleeing New York City and New York politics benefit Florida real estate. Would you move to Florida? Which is also a political tweet. And then he says ban Congress from trading stocks, which is also a political tweet. And then he's tweeting about something that President Biden is doing, which is also a political tweet. You get the idea. Of the last, I don't know, 10 tweets we looked at, 8 of them were political. Grant Cardone is political all the time, and that's fine. It's his Twitter account. He can do what he wants with it. But what he's doing is he's like, I'm not political, but you should be scared about this not political, totally apolitical thing. And because you're scared, you should give me money, and I pinky promise I will help solve it by donating it to Donald Trump. And I have to reemphasize how insane that is, that one billionaire is begging you for donations that he expects you to trust him will definitely totally be donated to another billionaire. That is just absurd to think about. Thanks for watching.